It is October 25th, 2017, and this is Atlanta United FC Weekly, a Home Before Dark podcast. I am Tim, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts, Mr. Kevin Bradley across the table from me, and Mr. Dan James to the right of us.
Why'd you have to touch
Why did
it?
you ruin it? It was so good. Now it's only in my left ear.
It cut out. Is it really?
Yeah, you ruined it.
Well, I'm good, thanks, Tim.
God. Okay, now I'm good. Are you
Okay,
good?
yeah, we're good.
Check.
Yeah, we're good.
Great.
Yeah, technical difficulties.
Tim difficulties.
It's not really though. I like to tinker. I like a gnome. I just tinker and I tinker and I tinker and I tinker.
We got a great show lined up for you guys tonight.
Yeah, we do. Part of the reason that we had to tinker with the studio is because we brought the studio equipment over to the Gulch on Sunday, and Terminus Legion, great guys over there, Austin, CK, Robert Swick, Robin Sagini, all the good folks over there were kind enough to put us up, promote us, come on to the show, talk to us about Terminus Legion, talk to us about soccer in the streets, and all that good stuff. If you guys haven't listened to it, I think it's a pretty great featurette where we had a couple, definitely, I don't know, what do we have? End up 10 guests?
Yeah, I think we had 10 people on.
10 different guests.
Throughout the court. No, I think it ended up being more than that because we had Angie and Katie on at the end.
Yeah, we had Angie and Katie.
I think
and
we ended up at 12 people.
Kayla and Sean. Yeah, we did. We had a good group of people. One person we did not, what I was going to say is go back and either watch it. It has some comical moments like the tent almost flying away at the end. I think in the middle too. Go watch us on YouTube. If you are listening or watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell. Make sure you guys get the notification wherever we go live.
So before we muddy up the waters, I mean, we got a lot. First of all, before I get to what I got to get to, I got to get to this, which is you guys showed up really big with ratings and reviews this week. So we'll read those in a second. But by request, for Soccer in the Streets, there's an event going on this weekend, which is the Black Tie Tournament, and they have a Black Tie pub crawl happening this weekend. We went to the Terminus Legion poker tournament that was supporting Soccer in the Streets. Hopefully we can get somebody on from the organization soon to talk a little bit about that. But obviously an organization that serves under, what is it? Not underserved. I guess underserved is the best word for that. Communities, bringing soccer to underserved communities, and over 100,000 kids in Atlanta. So this weekend, the tournament, instead of the standard end of the year banquet dinner, they all dress up in formal attire to raise money and play soccer in it. So the event is the Black Tie Pub Crawl, which is this Saturday from 11:30 to 4. So that's. Oof. Oh, that is challenging to say the least.
Those are college hours. That's a college pub crawl. You said 11 to 4?
Yeah. Full disclosure, the link benefits the Black Tie team, or the black team. That sounds oddly inappropriate, but we're going to say that is a normal team name for Soccer in the Streets, and we'll put all that up in the show notes. But for only $25, you get a tour of the Belt Line at 5 stops, 2 urban licks, Pure Taqueria, Hampton and Hudson, Parish, and Hop City, which is in Krog Street Market. And then Sunday is the Black Tie Soccer Tournament. That's October 29th at the 5 Points MARTA station from 1 to 4. So there's also a social post for drinking and raising money for Soccer in the Streets. And yeah, tickets are $25. So take a look in the show notes for links to all that and be sure to go out and support it.
2 Urban Licks is awesome.
So is Hampton and Hudson. All those places are great. Krog Street Market's a hell of a place to end on. You can eat and kind of sober up a little bit before you go. For sure.
So your pick, if you were to participate in that pub crawl, I'm not an alcohol guy, but where would you guys spend your food allowance, your stomach allowance, so as to not soak up your buzz completely?
I'd save it all the way to Krog Street Market.
Me too. I would get that Yala. I would get a big Laffa burrito. Good God, man.
Just top it off with some Jenny's ice cream.
I actually feel like, can I do the pub crawl and not drink and then just go to Krog afterwards?
Can we just do a Home Before Dark restaurant crawl?
Yes.
Like an actual just eating our way through Atlanta? That'd be great. We can have our own event that would sponsor Soccer in the Streets.
Yeah, maybe that's an off-season content. Maybe we do some shows.
That's pretty solid. $25 for 5.
That's
5 stops.
Premium restaurants as well.
I don't know what all that includes. I've got the event link pulling up now to see if that includes like a drink at each place or just kind of gets you access in. The event doesn't really say.
Well, surely some of the proceeds go to Soccer in the Streets, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So No, like when you go to the bar. So if you buy a drink at the bar, then does this portion of that go to Soccer in the Streets?
Yeah, but I'm wondering what the ticket is for. I think that's what we need to get.
Just go to Soccer in the Streets.
Yeah.
Typically tickets, percentage of those go to the proceeds.
Right. So I'm assuming that what is I know a percentage.
I get what you're
you
saying.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I don't know for $25 if you get like one drink at each of those 5 places, and then
We're doing
the
a
rest
bad
of it
job
goes-
of.
Look, I'm going
Hey,
based off
just
of what I
go
was given. Go to the link.
spend your money.
Who cares? Who cares if you get any beer? $25 for a charity. That's well worth it.
Exactly.
Especially for this one. So go check it out. All the links will be in the show notes. Back to business. We got lots of ratings and reviews, and after I butchered that, I'm sure we'll get lots of 1 stars. So that's
But
great.
make sure.
I just gave us 1 star right now.
Yeah, I went
True.
ahead and switched mine to 2.
But for more information and just to follow a great organization, go over to @SoccerStreets on Twitter. You
Yeah.
guys can find, or soccerstreets.org. You can find all the good stuff there too. Just follow along with them. They're a great organization. We're happy we've been able to at least help promote some of that stuff over the past few weeks.
So lots of ratings and reviews. I think we challenged you guys because we had 3 or 4 reviews last week. I said we wanted 6 so that we could each read 1 or each read 2. And I think we ended up with 7 this week. And we ended up with 10 new ratings, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. And they run the gamut. Some like really long ones and then some just short ones.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are kind of short of words, but I mean, we listen, we read, we listen, and I don't know. We got to get better, man.
Yeah.
We obviously have a lot of room for improvement.
I have probably more than both of you. I'll say not probably. I definitely have way more than both of you. So I'll take the brunt of all the lower than 5 stars. That's all on me. Thanks, guys. Dan, you want to start it off? You hot
Sure.
mess.
First, I want to say thanks to Derek Murphy. Have you seen that name in the chat?
I haven't.
Well, thanks for joining us and thanks for complimenting my sweet sweater.
I'm an idiot. Okay. Hot mess. This review is by Natal HTD. I don't know what it is about these guys that keeps me coming back. Maybe it's their terrible opinions, Kevin, or perhaps the disjointed, desperate trains of thought that they try to string together that ultimately end in a flaming pile of garbage. More than likely, it's the Australian guy's terrible accent that pulls me in. Fuck yeah. Great job, guys. Keep it up.
I don't know who to blame. Are we to blame Jay Riddle for this originally? Because his was a little more like obvious. Do we blame Jay Riddle or do we blame Chris Robb for the new theme of all these being like reverse satirical criticism?
Well, let's get to the next one, which is good, not perfect.
Oh, I don't think this is satirical.
Number 1, 2, 3, 4, solid 3 stars. Met these guys recently, decided to give it a try. A little too much banter and inside jokes, lots of opinions, and not a lot of analysis. Maybe I'm not the audience they're looking for. Thanks for checking us out nonetheless, and thanks for giving us some feedback.
Yeah, no, like I said, we listen, and maybe that's something we can improve upon next season.
No.
Obviously,
Mate, I have got some analysis for you this pod. Don't you worry.
All right.
All right, so that was our first 3-star review. We've had some 4.
Hurts, but
I think we've had 2 4-star reviews. Only one was brave enough to put it in the reviews.
we will battle through adversity.
You know, we're just giving you
We'll
guys
come
shit.
back.
We appreciate any feedback we
Yeah,
get.
seriously.
So we have a really short one. Does this mean? So can I do like serpentine? Is it like you? Is it Dan? You?
Snake
me?
draft.
Me?
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
Dan?
yeah,
Okay. Why waste time with another ATL UTD ... stupid new iTunes
Yeah.
or podcast, whatever it's called? 5 stars. All you need right here, comma, fam. All right.
Who's that
Like
from?
I said, JP Dorito. Dorito? No, JPD Origo?
There
Yeah.
we go.
It's one word.
Yeah, it's probably Dorito. Just
Probably
misspelled.
JPD Origo. No.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Okay, now we have this runs. I remembered to hit the more button this time.
You did it.
Yeah, I'm not going to hand it back to you with half of a review to read. So, All the Things, 5 stars by Elizabeth V5. Version 5?
I don't know, or very 5.
She is very 5.
Very 5.
If you like Atlanta United, MLS/EPL chatter, that's me and Dan, the EPL part. That's when Kevin tunes out. Pizza, sometimes intelligible conversation about soccer and weird sound effects. Or if you dislike Orlando because it ain't the South, then this is the podcast for you. Introducing Kevin Bradley, in parentheses, weird sounds. Tim Herb, fellow LFC fan. Yes. And that English guy who is always late and has a minivan. You have a
on time today.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude,
I mean, we were actually the ones late.
It's actually a caravan of courage.
How do we know? How did she know that you have a minivan? That's kind of. I guess it's just assumed because of the kids.
How the hell does she know I have a minivan?
You look like a guy that would drive a minivan.
These three keep the Atlanta United conversation somewhat headed in an interesting and entertaining direction while looking back on the previous match and ahead to the next. They're definitely just sitting in a small room with cats and alcohol, arguing about things that they would talk about anyway, but recording it for your listening pleasure. P.S. You should have some ladies on the show. P.P.S. Zelda doesn't count. I think you meant females on the show. Wink.
She should come on.
Yeah. The greatest of all time by CJam 3.
This one I think is a little disrespectful.
I'm very excited about it.
I don't know who he's talking about.
It's got to be us. I mean,
is it me and you? Or is it me and it's me and Dan, I think.
Why would it be you and Dan?
Because he says almost as handsome as Tito Villalba. So he's obviously talking about me and Tim.
Is that a joke about my hair?
And that's definitely subjective.
You fuck.
I mean business tonight. Backwards cap.
These two are knowledgeable and passionate about Atlanta United and almost as handsome as Tito Villalba. The reason why I think it's Tim and I is because we're constantly showing up to these events and doing these shows that Dan just simply can't be bothered to
I'm just trying to
attend.
play into the narrative that I don't actually exist.
You stay in your hole. Last one. Short and sweet. All you.
Top notch. Can't beat it. 5 stars. Good job. Knife!
Great.
Knife with an exclamation point.
Wait around.
As if a knife didn't need an exclamation. Like if it's implied at that point, right? To put an exclamation point. Yeah. Or that there's one for you're supposed to yell knife.
This one's got 2 though, so it's extra.
Oh shit.
Knife.
First of all, shout out to Jimmy Vance from 92.9 The Game runs the beautiful game on Twitter.
He just got in the live chat. You see what's behind us, right, dude? That's all for you.
Yep. That beautiful t-shirt that we have hanging up there. 92.9 The Game. Atlanta United on my mind. Georgia map shirt. Yeah, it's fantastic. We had a fantastic time. We got to meet Jimmy. We got to meet we had Robert on the show.
Santa United.
We had Santa United on the show. If you guys don't know about Santa United, he sat down with us and talked to us for probably 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Go back and watch that episode. We don't need to talk about it.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Or listen to it, subscribe, whatever, on iTunes, YouTube, wherever.
Yeah. If you found us, thanks for checking us out. That said, we did go to the game. We had the tailgate. We did the show.
Dude, I have so much to talk about.
I think we'll talk a lot about Toronto. I mean,
about that episode. I keep saying episode.
The Toronto game.
The Toronto game. Yes, it was an episode.
It was one hell of a way to end the season, though.
Oh my gosh. How did Gressel not make it 3-1? I still don't understand it.
How did that madness at the end of the game not turn into another point too?
Yeah.
I mean, how did 4 people not score in that scenario?
Yeah, Boswell almost got one.
Yeah, Michael Bradley almost had an own goal.
You watch Bobby Boswell lumber around for like 5 minutes
in a shirt that's way too big for him.
Oh yeah, and then he almost gets on the score sheet. It would have been glorious, but at the same time,
his goals per minute would have beaten Peterson's.
So we already have like a big question in it, and it comes from the first goal of the game. Was that really a penalty kick?
So I never actually went back and rewatched it because I was shocked that it had happened so far prior to when he called for the video review, because play had already transpired on the other end of the field and they had a shot on goal and the ball went out before he even decided to call VAR. And I was like, wait, what just happened? I didn't see anything take place down here. And it was for something that had happened on the opposite end of the field 20 seconds earlier.
Well, I watched it last night and I didn't even realize it happened.
It was a handball, right? It
was a handball. But the reason why they didn't, it took a while because the ball didn't go out of play, which I don't fully quite understand.
Well, didn't we just talk about this like 4 or 5 weeks ago about calling penalties and calling plays before the ball goes out of play? I mean, so what happens if...
Right, but there was not a stop in the game. I mean...
So what happens if Toronto goes down and scores? Do they still do it and it negates it? That's what I don't understand.
It's just like advantage at that point. I mean, you can't stop play. I'm guessing it's something in the rule books where you can't stop play obviously unless you see it happen. If it was something that the referee saw happen, or if there's a head injury.
So again, what happens? So to that point, what happens if Toronto goes down and the possession ball doesn't go out of play and possession doesn't change and Toronto just goes down there and scores? Then what happens?
They probably just would have been 1-0 Toronto.
They can't go back at that point. That's what I'm.
Well, I don't know. They've taken goals away.
Yeah,
that's what I don't
probably
would have.
I have no clue how that transpired. It was very, very odd.
But it was. I mean, it was a handball. It was not obvious in the run of play, but when they slowed it down and
you know what's interesting is a lot of people in our section. So we're in 117. You're in 107, right? We're in 117 or 104. Yeah, okay. We're in 117. I always get confused. The people in our section, at least in our 2 rows, we thought it was a penalty kick for a different reason, because Tito kicked the ball past I don't remember who that was, but he either took a shot, whatever. The defender didn't get a piece of it and took him out, cleared him out. And I guess the argument for that maybe is that the ball's already been played, but at the same time, I mean, that happens up the field and the ball's not going out of play. I mean, it's a foul every time. It's almost like that FIFA shit that used to happen. Like if you can get away, if the ball's going out of bounds, you can slide tackle somebody, or if they're like offside, if they call a penalty first for like offside, you can go back and slide tackle them. You used to be able to do that.
Oh, so you get like a free play.
Yeah, exactly. Or after the referee blows a whistle for the first half, you can just go around like slide tackling somebody until it cuts to the menu screen. I don't think you can injure him or anything like that, but it was always just like having fun with that. But that said, we thought it was for a different reason. But yeah, apparently it was because Assad missed a header and the hand. Who was it that hit it with his hand?
Moore, I believe.
Moore, yeah.
So my question was, okay, it was a penalty, and it was arguably a denial of a goal scoring opportunity. So why wasn't he booked or red carded?
The whole thing doesn't make sense. I mean, Dean mentions it too. Like I thought it was going to end up being a PK for Toronto because of when they called it. It was on the other.
You're like, what is going on?
Because Gressel has the ball on the edge of like on the left side and plays it out, and then he calls VAR. I'm like, did something happen over in front of the box that we just didn't see? I didn't know what was going. It was just the whole scenario seemed really, really strange.
Yeah. Robert Swick in the chat says defender jumped arms up towards the ball. Ref had to wait for a stoppage before doing VAR.
Yeah. So we have. Apparently, so it seems like consensus that was the right call. So we have a couple old faces in the chat, new faces in the chat. We appreciate you guys joining in. We have some commentary about that. We have let's see. Yeah, I mean, most people are in the same boat. I mean, Richard Gordon saying who we got to meet on Sunday, which was awesome.
Yeah.
He's saying that from the stands, nobody had any idea what was happening. Dean is talking about how the same thing is. We thought
the other thing is I couldn't hear anything because of all the booing that day.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then Joe Patrick of Dirty South Soccer, great guy, saying it was in our favor, but VAR is so damn anticlimactic. I hate it. I would agree.
I hate it, but it got us a goal, so.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, that said, you're right. We do have a big, there is a elephant in the room.
Dan's going to rule over how
no, I don't think so, but we'll see.
Wait, what? What is going on? You guys never told me.
Okay, that's a little loud. That just blew out my ears.
Just booed out your ears?
Yeah, you just booed out my ears. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the compressor just so we can catch that earlier. Anyway, so we all anticipated it. I think on social media, people were hyping it up. People were letting everybody know that they're not going to let Josie Altidore and Michael Bradley just skate. We have a lot of U.S. men's national team fans in the crowd. None of them have had a proper way to vent other than listening to podcasts, other than maybe just screaming in their houses. And every time the ball came near Michael Bradley or Josie Altidore, the fans made it clear, not only with a Biggest Loser poster or
that is freaking hilarious.
I didn't see that. That's great. I got to look that up. I did not see that.
Not only did they make their thoughts known there, but we booed the hell out of both of those guys.
We being a liberal use of the word, because I still to this day, while I get it, like you're saying, it's all frustration and needing to vent it, and I get that they're both assholes in their own regard. At the same time, all I can think about is the fact that would Atlanta United fans react the exact same way had Brad Guzan started and then the U.S. men's national team lost? Would they boo our own player in that scenario every time he touched the ball?
The thing is, if Brad Guzan started, we wouldn't have lost. So your point is invalid.
No, it 100% is invalid.
I still
I totally see what you're saying, though, Kevin. Probably not.
No, because you're right. It is probably compounded, right?
It's very much compounded and very much biased based on the fact that he didn't play. Had he played, I think the exact same thing would have transpired. And those two players would have gotten booed based on it, and Brad Guzan would have had none of it. And that's my problem with it.
But, it's only booing. When Beckham got sent off against Argentina and England got knocked out of that World Cup, people, and I'm certainly not condoning this, people made an effigy of Beckham and hung him from a tree outside his freaking house.
Good God.
So, booing, you're a big boy, Michael Bradley. You're a big boy, Josie Altidore.
You're absolutely
you can
right.
take it.
You're absolutely
You're laughing all the way to the bank.
You're absolutely
right. So this brings up a good point. So exactly, Seth Carter says they're on a different team. That's right. That's the compounding factor here. But that doesn't take away from this. So I've had conversations with both. So I've had conversations with a couple people, Jay Riddle being one of them, and Joe Patrick also, who I mentioned just a few minutes ago, being another one of them, when we were talking about exactly what you're talking about. You got to be thick-skinned, first off.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's not on them. That comes onto the fans. That's incumbent on the fans. You can't strive and expect and want a good product on the field, but not want to be the driving factor behind that. You can't sit back and say, these players need to be better. They need to do better. And then they come to your face. And in this case, they're not even in our face. They're playing in a game where we're the spectators, and you can't boo.
I'm not saying
I don't get that. That's criticism. Booing has this connotation of being uninformed, uneducated. Because it's a loud, roaring noise that just is supposed to drive. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And this is America, goddammit.
But it is, to me, that booing was very, in this case, to me, was articulate. Because it had a point to it. It wasn't blanketed booing. It's one of those things, like I said, those conversations, go back to what I was saying, were about how it actually stemmed from the Jermaine Jones video. And people were saying, I don't understand why you're criticizing Jordan Morris for not wanting to leave home and all this stuff. It's because, like I said, you can't say that stuff and then not back it up.
Yeah.
These players are big boys. They get booed every single week that they're playing on the road.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the difference here?
Again, my biggest difference is the fact that we also have a U.S. men's national team player on our team, and that would be the difference. And I don't really have a leg to stand on in a lot of ways because he didn't start and he didn't play. But at the same time, I think anyone would be lying if they said that had he started and that scenario played out, that it would be a completely different.
I'm being completely serious because I can't remember the true definitions of this. Is that a straw man, red herring? That's completely hypothetical.
I agree.
That's your only problem with us booing him?
Yeah,
is that we wouldn't have done it to our own player?
Well, it goes a couple of different ways. That also, I mean,
did we boo Orlando?
I can't see. Yeah, I would boo the fuck out of Orlando, but I got no reason not to.
But why? No.
Right, because they're our opponent. They're our opponent.
In that case, why?
And so, okay, so let me address it then. To your point, they're our opponent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're booing Bradley and Josie just because they're our opponent, that's one thing. But that's not the case because U.S. men's national team is all of our teams. And if I'm a fan of anything, whether it's college football or Atlanta United or the U.S. men's national team, despite any issues that I may see, that's part of being a fucking fan, and that's supporting that team and those players. And while you may have disagreements about how it's taking place, I'm not going to boo them, especially if it's our national team. And say what you will, like I'm going to agree to disagree. It's not going to change my mind whenever this team, like, so what would be the difference if say they beat Trinidad and Tobago, they go to the World Cup and they lose every game of the group stages? Are we going to fucking boo them every game?
Yeah, they're playing for Toronto.
Yes, actually, no.
So
where's the cutoff? Like, what's the cutoff for when you're going to boo your national team players because they lost a game on an international stage?
We do it in England all the time.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
Wayne Rooney was turning around to the camera saying, "It's nice having your own fans booing you." Well, because you're playing shit and you don't care about playing for England.
That's exactly what I love to hear.
It's totally hypocritical. It's totally contextual. You know, if I was watching the US and Josie Altidore is playing, if I'm there watching the game, I'm not going to boo them. But if they're playing for Toronto, yeah, heck yeah, I'm going to boo them.
See,
because it's just. It's the way it is. When they're playing against my team, man.
Fair enough.
But back to my point. It's completely cultural at this point. This to me. I don't think it's grasping at straws to talk about this being a participation trophy culture.
No,
because guess what? I cheer for laundry. I don't cheer for players. I'm 100% serious.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I am diehard fan of my teams. I am not a diehard fan of those players. Those players turn on me. They do something. I'm not above riding their ass.
Okay.
And I think that's the mindset of most successful international teams. You think Argentina's let Leo Messi off the hook over the past couple of years when he's been in the past decade where he's gone missing in big tournaments? I don't think that's
I don't see where the cutoff is. Let's use Atlanta United as an example for this, right?
Yes.
We're in the playoffs, successful, we're all fans. Also, lost 3 to DC United, worst team in the league. How is that any different than losing to Trinidad? Like,
because it doesn't knock us out of a tournament,
and also
it's totally contextual.
But had it knocked us out of playoffs, are we going to boo everybody on our team?
But it wasn't at that point, though. Like it was when we were playing DC. We weren't in that situation.
DC didn't knock us out of the playoffs. That said.
So when do we start booing Atlanta United because they don't live up to our expectations?
This is a complete different scenario to me because guess what? Atlanta United came into their first season. We weren't expected to do anything. I got laughed at. Eric Quintana got laughed at when we both said that this was a playoff team after week 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Kevin laughed at you.
Yeah. Guess what? Every 4 years, US is a favorite, if not a co-favorite, to win CONCACAF. You're talking about one of the weakest qualifying divisions in the world. You're talking about a qualifying division that doesn't stand up against any of the fucking groups in Europe.
True.
That's why Euro is way more competitive, way harder to win than the World Cup. I mean, there are maybe 3-4 different divisions or World Cup qualifying groups, what have you, that are maybe equal to or less than CONCACAF. That's the problem. Is these players, they skate by. They skate by. Did you go back and watch any of that analysis of just how absolutely lazy the players were?
Absolutely. Especially whenever you see Michael Bradley showing up and breaking up every pass in the midfield against Atlanta United this past week.
Exactly. And you see Josie Altidore in that game against Trinidad, and he's losing a ball in the midfield, and he literally threw his hands up and then just started jogging towards the guy who's breaking on a counterattack. Yeah. That's my thing. I can't cheer for that. That's my country. You're saying if we would have gotten to the World Cup and gotten knocked out, gotten destroyed in the group stages, what, like 2006?
True.
You're talking about 2006 when I was extremely vocal about how bad that team was. And the problem with that, again, it's context. That team was the highest rated that the U.S. men's national team had ever been by whatever FIFA rankings going into the World Cup. And we absolutely laid an egg.
That's right. Yeah.
Czech Republic came in and they said, you guys aren't shit. Jan Koller took his 6'8" frame and just dominated us. Rosicki put in one of the best goals the World Cup has seen in the past like 24 years, whatever. It's what I'm saying is these players, it would be different. It would be absolutely different if they had some historical or some sort of legacy of greatness. They don't, though. And they get propped up as this golden generation of players. And to me, that's an absolutely wasted generation of players. Michael Bradley, I think it was Andy Watkins in the chat that was talking about it. He's been a defender of Michael Bradley for years. I like to call that an apologist. I've been a Michael Bradley apologist since Bob Bradley introduced him to the team, because immediately the first reaction was always, well, it's nepotism.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be playing in this team. I was like, no, he's good. Just watch. Well, watch him in, half of the World Cup qualifying, watch him in club play, watch him when he's playing in Roma, and he's great, right? He's fantastic. I mean, he played in Serie A. I mean, there's no doubting this kid's skill. But then he doesn't show up in the big games. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. But you can't have him be the anchor. You can't have him be the talisman for this team and have him go completely missing. And that doesn't stop with the players. But to me, it's almost an arrogance or they should be expecting that. They should be expecting that the fans want more if we're going to advance as a nation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We couldn't beat Trinidad's B team.
I get it.
And this is just playing into everything that the European media think about the US national team, because the European media take great hubris in thinking the US shit at soccer.
Yes,
they think
do.
The MLS is crap.
Yeah.
They think the USMNT is crap. And it's got to be really I get frustrated when I'll listen to some podcasts and they're like, well, US aren't going to make it out the group, and England aren't the ones who make it out the group. And the fact the US topped that group that England were in that one World Cup.
Right.
So it's frustrating to me because I want to see the growth, and I want to see the US get respect on the world stage of soccer. So yeah. And plus, I think, your sports teams, at least for me, take on a part of your identity, or you project part of your identity onto them. And then when they let you down, you're like, fuck you. You're nothing to do with me. Don't put that failure on me,
I'm just
subconsciously.
Yeah.
What the other thing?
Again, I think these are all valid points, and I'm sure there's somebody out there. It may be one other person that agrees with me, and that's okay. Like, I just can't. Booing them because they're our opponent is one thing. But at the same time, it's a unique situation because it's not just because they're our opponent. And that's what...
No, it's not just because they're our opponent. But we definitely did. I mean, that's what Joe's saying. Fans were frustrated, and booing is a proper way to vent that. Bradley and Josie slept just fine.
Yeah.
So to that point, and Dean makes this point, he said booing is okay. Throwing shit is not okay. We agree.
Yes.
I think we're in full agreement that you don't throw shit on the field.
Absolutely.
It's dangerous in and of itself. It's classless. If Matt Doyle has any sort of influence on people, it's going to end up costing us points. He did,
that was pretty cool with Gio, though, picking up that beer. He did an Danny Alves on. He picked up the beer that was thrown at Josie and drank it, just like Danny Alves picked up the banana that was thrown at him and just ate it and threw it back.
Right. So Dan James in the live chat says, did we play a game this week? I think that's a perfect segue to actually talk a little bit more about the game.
If you're done, I was enjoying the passion.
Well, I think this was a good way to put the U.S. men's national team discussion to bed for
it was
season,
good. It was good closure.
It was good closure. That's true. So back to the Toronto game.
Actually, one more thing. We have Stephen Hoggle in the chat. Says longtime listener, first time commenter here. I loved the booing. I still wake up shaking and sweating from the PTSD I developed after watching the U.S. lose to Trinidad and Tobago. We'll leave it there.
Stefan, you are more than welcome to join me and Seth Carter in supporting of England in the World Cup.
I do agree. Regardless of my stance on the booing or not, I did feel a certain sense of justice from the opponent perspective whenever Gressel beat the shit off of Josie on that fucking ball. Holy shit, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was. You saw it coming, though, because
Gressel's
not to say Josie's lost a step, but Gressel's also not a world track star either.
He's also Josie's probably got 30 pounds on him at least.
Well, that's another thing that's extremely frustrating. And I honestly, without the U.S. men's national team, I would have been booing Josie Altidore solely by the end of the game because he plays like he's 150 pounds. It's almost like a role reversal with him and Giovinco.
Yeah. He's such a whining bitch as well.
He really is. And it's really frustrating to watch. I mean, he acts like a petulant child at times.
If I was a Toronto fan, I'd love him. I would love him. But same with like Manotas. When they play against my team, I can't stand him.
Actually, so Dean just brought up a great point about Gressel, and it was something I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. We talked about players potentially getting call-ups for the U.S. men's national team after a certain time. You see that whenever people get national or naturalized. Or I believe that's what happened with
Dom Dwyer.
Yeah, he's a naturalized citizen.
Yeah.
I mean, Gressel, he played 4 years at Providence. He's been in the U.S. another year after that. At what point? I think
he's a citizen.
He is. Okay, so I think he's quality enough that he can get a call up. He's 23 years old.
I don't see why he couldn't.
He's rookie of the year in your flagship league. I don't see any reason why not. I think that would be great. He's never going to play for Germany.
No.
I mean, we're not a team, obviously, that would ever ostracize a dual citizen or a dual nationalist or whatever you want to call it, the way that the European teams do. You know, Americans go and play for a German team.
Was it Diego Fagundes where people were saying get him naturalized so he can play for the US? I think it was him.
I'd be okay with that. He's obviously he's one of New England's best players.
Yeah, like a couple of years ago. I think
we need to get more creative like that. I think I've talked about that before. Not to keep going on a U.S. men's national team tangent. I think that could be a completely different show. But you see I mean, if you think about Germany, the way that they recruit Polish kids, German Poles, and German Turks. I mean, there's no reason a country this.
Robert Swick, are you saying that it's a long process to become naturalized? If so, I can second that.
Look, that's our way to keep the riffraff out, and somehow you stick around. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not naturalized yet, so
there's a reason.
That's right. And his name is Kevin Bradley.
Every day I gotta
it's
make
so
that
funny.
phone
Like
call.
even when I lived in Virginia, people would say the same thing to me.
Every day I gotta make that phone call.
Yeah, I think we need a completely different U.S. men's national team episode. But Gressel, let's talk about Gressel for a minute, because you had talked about he should have been able to finish that ball. To me, I thought that was a pretty great take on that ball.
A Gressel shot?
Yeah.
Oh God, it was gorgeous, man. It was.
I thought that was a very mature and
when he took it first time.
First time with the outside of the foot.
For the
outside of the
confidence,
foot.
yes. But
he put that. But
It was on frame. I mean, it was
almost on frame.
No,
Well, I mean,
a
it
miss.
was. I know,
like,
It was
but
about,
it was
probably 6 inches to a foot away, right?
Yeah,
It was.
I mean,
I'd
it
say
was
like 3 or 4 feet. No, go back and watch it.
Oh, well,
Serious.
you watched it. I guess that's the difference. Is I was there.
But all he needed,
Plebeian.
Weird that keeps happening.
plastic.
Like you show up,
You say
and all
you
of a
support the
sudden
team,
you-
but you never go to the games.
you show
Blah,
up,
blah,
and
blah,
then
blah.
all of a sudden your opinions booed, and
I know, I'm intolerable. He just needed to take. If he had have just taken one step, I really think he would have scored the goal.
see, I had the opposite reaction to Villalba's shot in the first half, where he takes the extra touch rather than just taking it off the pass. He takes the extra touch inside the box, and then by that time, the whole defense is pulled back and is able to.
Yeah.
Had he one touched that, it's a golden opportunity to put one in.
Yeah.
No, I think that he's just brimming with confidence, man.
I was just disappointed that he didn't.
No, I agree.
score.
He scored that same goal though against Philly. It was Philly. He scored like a replica of that goal. That's what I was going to say. The reason he had the confidence to even take that one time is because he had scored off of that before, and he's great on that opposite side. I mean, maybe that's put the impetus on him to get more of a developed left foot, but.
So what do you guys think about the starting lineup? Or not the starting lineup, but I guess it would be the starting formation. Because the lineup I mean, the lineup obviously changed. LGP's out because of the yellow cards, which brings up a second question I have about playoffs. What happens with the card accumulation? Does that get wiped and start over now? Or is it a running tally going into playoffs?
I believe so. Accumulation, I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat, accumulation gets wiped clean. For yellow card, obviously, yellow card accumulation gets wiped clean going into the playoffs.
Well, that's good.
But if you got it,
thank God.
But if you got a red card on the last week of the season, a la Clint Dempsey elbow.
Yeah, Kendrick Brock says it gets wiped.
Yeah, you end up. Clint Dempsey is. I thought I saw somewhere where that didn't count either towards the postseason, but that's obviously not the case because Dempsey's going to miss their first round game. You got to twist the knob in front.
No, I know.
I got to mute.
I'm good. So. Formation changes, go from a 4-back to a 3-back. LGP's out. You've got Walks shifting from right side to left back now. Parkhurst it was Lorenowitz in middle, and then Parkhurst on right? So we had a 3-4-3 basically.
Interesting,
they were running.
Walks went to left.
I thought so too. One of my biggest issues I had with it, I mean, overall, I guess it was okay. It just seemed choppy. It seemed like all of Atlanta's counters or forward momentum just seemed not as fluid as they have been throughout the season. And some of that sort of changed once Almiron came back in towards the end.
Dude, he was like a man possessed.
Well, I think it allowed we can get back to that later, but the 3-back specifically it stopped so much forward progression in an odd way because you don't have Walks and Ambrose or Garza, whoever's on the left side, moving the ball up the wings to then transfer to Assad or Villalba or Gressel. And it just, as a result of that, it ended up making the midfield so congested and so clogged up. That was probably my biggest issue with the game. Was it just seemed like seemed like middle school football. I mean, it was just every time I turned around, it seemed like there was 7 or 8 players around the ball and nobody was actually spreading the field because of where the players just seemed uncomfortable with it. Didn't help that Toronto's back line was standing on the 50 for the entire game, and Martinez doesn't know how to counter an offsides trap, and was offsides a total of what, like 9 times over the course of the game?
5. I think I really, unfortunately, and it pains me to say, I think the issue with that was Kratz. Kratz didn't have a great game.
No, he didn't. I think he led to that first goal.
To your point, as soon as Almiron came on.
Well, the thing with Almiron coming on was it allowed, because Joseph was boxed out. Aside from the offsides trap, he was manned the entire game.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as Almiron comes on, it starts to pull some of those defenders to him. He's got enough confidence with the ball to move across the field and open up some of those runs for Villalba and Joseph around the backside, and naturally pulls the defense back towards the box as well. But, yeah, I mean, to your point about the Kratz thing, I think Kratz is – I almost blame him entirely for that first goal. I mean, Parkhurst gets a bad beat, but – there's no reason why he should have been holding on to that ball surrounded by 3 players in the midfield. That should have never happened.
Would you just
wait? Am I wrong on this one too?
No.
Is it because he's
it's to your point. It's to your point. But one thing I was kind of focusing on was,
man, he's so defensive. I have him on edge.
I'm so excited. I wrote this whole thing.
I'm so edged.
I have Kevin on edge right now.
So Martinez,
and
his offsides. So we were offside 5 times
in
the game, and Martinez was all 5 times.
Exactly.
So here's
what— just laughable.
Here is, I think there's
it should have been 6, but he never got impact on that ball that went over the top when he was 30 yards offsides and he was just trotting back, and he just ignored the ball.
This does not completely abstain Martinez from all those offsides. Like, I think 2 or 3 of them were at least his fault. But on the first offside, right, in 5 minutes, just give me 2 minutes. All right, so Guzan hoofs it up and Beitashour knocks it back down, but Villalba pegs it up and intercepts the ball and knocks it over Bradley towards Kratz. But McCann jumps up and almost touches it before the ball gets to Kratz. At this point, Martinez...
I just want an audiobook of you recounting the entire game at this point. Can you just do this every week? This is
just this one offside instance. All right, so at this point, McCann's jumped up, and before it gets to Kratz, Martinez has just started his run to get a jump on the 2 defenders. So McCann misses the ball, and then Kratz chests it back to Assad, who then plays the ball through. So the extra second that Kratz has given them by chesting the ball back to Assad has slowed down the play, which obviously by then Martinez has already gone and has not anticipated the ball getting played back. So it slows it down and therefore makes him offside. So 2 points.
I feel like you need a laser pointer.
Yeah, I'm like ABB.
As you can see by Exhibit A.
Would you like him to make you presenter on the Hangout?
Yes, please. Martinez has to anticipate the build-up play and has to get out the block before the defenders react. Okay, so that's kind of a complicated thing to do. And then point 2 is the ball's actually played towards the sideline, and Martinez moves out of his central position to retrieve it, which he's willing to do, and therefore proves that he will actually adjust himself somewhat to the play.
When is the test?
Yeah.
Do I get credit for this? Do I get credit hours for this?
Martinez second offside.
Oh wait, are we going through all?
Okay,
it kind of all builds to my point, but we can duck in.
Okay, is the point that the formation and the players around him were the reason for his offsides?
My point is that it's incredibly difficult. So for the goal, right? Martinez's goal, he actually has to just let me do it, Tim. All right, I swear, I'll give you back to it. It's difficult for Martinez to do this because he has to anticipate. So on the second goal, his goal, he can't even see Tito play the ball. There's 2 defenders in his sight.
Yeah.
So he's anticipating that somehow Villalba will play the ball to him. So he starts the run at the edge of the penalty area, and by the time he's 6 yards in, Tito plays the ball. So Martinez cannot see him at this point. So it's all faith in timing. Moore is between Martinez and the ball when Martinez starts his run. And Martinez has to run across the back of Moore, splitting between Moore and Mavinga. By this point, Gressel has actually stopped his run at the edge of the penalty area, which actually makes Mavinga pause and gives Martinez some space to run into the ball and score. It's just, I guess my point is, it's a lot of timing, and I feel like it's going to be, at points, there is going to be uncommon for Martinez to be onside when he's trying to do this. Well, not that it, when you're 30 yards jogging back, I can't defend that one.
But right. So I think to follow up to that and to build on that, I think what changed and what allowed him to play, because like you're saying, it's tough for him to make those adjustments based off of how the defense is keeping him onsides or offsides by playing so far up. B, the way the midfield is having to play and who those players are in the midfield to allow him to make those runs around the defense and having to anticipate their timing and not being able to anticipate the timing of a player like Kratz who hasn't been in that position.
Right, exactly.
And drops the ball back after he's already started his run. At that point, the ball drops back. The next player plays it up. Whereas Almiron and him seem to have this chemistry where...
Oh, absolutely.
Almiron's holding on to the ball long enough for Joseph to anticipate it rather than these quick snap ping pongs back and forth around the midfield. So that, and I think all of that was as a result of a lot of different things. But once Almiron came on, and what makes me excited about this Columbus game is what he brought to that life that just came out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like it was a completely different team once he came on.
As soon as he came on, does he remind you of Sterling when he starts playing football? Just like the finesse that he shows. I guess the way he moves his arms, which is a real random thing, but it's always like very sort of like, okay, I'm gonna shoot the ball over here, and I'm not. It doesn't seem like I'm panicked.
No, I get what you're saying. So, Sterling always has looked very weird and comfortable at the same time on the ball. Even though he's a snake, it's weird.
Well, he's shit now.
For a guy who's such a snake, it's weird that he has arms to begin with.
I was just talking like Brendan Rodgers saying, "You paying attention? I'll be in Liverpool." You remember that?
Yeah. No.
I remember that.
No. What? Raheem Sterling said, "No." What did he say? Steady. Yeah. Whatever. I guess that's slang over there for like cool. Calm down. Because Brendan Rodgers is going off.
But as soon as
we
that's
have lost the sign, Kevin's got to invest in some sort of better adhesive to put up there
for your mouth.
But to your point, as soon as Almiron came on and he touched the ball one time, it's like he had just a burst of energy.
Well, you saw the entire team playing differently. It wasn't. I mean, obviously the play warranted.
Would you say it's infectious the way that he plays?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that was for, but yes, he's just a spark, man.
It really was.
He made me excited.
Yeah. So other thoughts on the Toronto game?
I think you and I both have the same sentiments. I think I told Angie as soon as Javinko came onto the ball for that free kick, I was like, I'm going to turn around. I don't want to watch this. I ended up watching it anyway.
So I still have this question. Whenever Alec Can gets healthy, who starts at goalkeeper?
Well, Can, obviously.
Okay, I want to make sure we're still debating.
I think we're all on the same page.
I mean, because Guzan hasn't really had a great couple of games, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, he's been pretty shit, to be honest. We should have booed him.
Took it out of my mouth.
I got to take that microphone out of your mouth till you fix it. So, other thoughts on this game? Javinko masterclass. He's great at a dead ball.
Yeah, as soon as he stepped up, I said, "Oh, top left corner. This is gone." And Guzan actually plays it great. He's in position to make the play. If that ball doesn't hit the crossbar and ding down, Guzan's all over it. I mean, he put it the only place he couldn't get it. Guzan cheats. He cheats that side and Javinko still puts it where he can't.
I mean,
it's just ridiculous.
It was the perfect unless Guzan, he couldn't have cheated further. Otherwise, he would have gotten caught on the outside. Even if the only way he could have got to that ball is if he was cheating a little further right and was able to get there without diving.
Yeah.
But it hit the underside of the bar. You can't do that, or you can't stop that. So. That said, I felt like you were talking about the formation. I thought the formation was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think that
I hope we don't see it in the playoffs is my point.
Somebody, I can't remember who was making the point about Walks being left-footed, but you saw that.
Yes.
Yeah, he was so good.
He played a great game.
He was fantastic.
He played a great game, but again, just because of how congested the midfield got, because everybody was stationary in the midfield because of how weighted it was just so contradictory to the way that Villalba and Assad tend to want to play on those wings, and not having Walks or McCann or Garza feeding that, it just clogged up the midfield way too much, in my opinion.
I will say, with every week, I have a growing admiration and desire to see Chris McCann on the field. I think that he just fits such a utilitarian role on this team that he's one of those guys, just like Lorenowitz at this point. I feel like he is a good cog. To me, who's your player of the game? In this formation, I don't even know if it's formation.
Brad Guzan.
Dan?
Guzan, I'd probably go with, I'm just trying to run my mind through it. I mean, Carmona was breaking stuff.
So you just took the words out of my mouth. To me, without Carmona, we would lose this game like 10 times over. He made some crucial tackles. As our friend Kevin Brown always says, or
slide tackles the world.
Yeah, he said one time, and we continue to repeat. He does slide tackle the world. He had some great saving. And not just that, he does a great job of just bossing the midfield, as it were. Like he's
an enforcer.
Yeah. To me, he was the only pace setter that we had, or tempo setter that we had on the team to rival Victor Vasquez on Toronto's side. Because Victor Vasquez was like he is deceptively fast.
Yeah.
It is unreal. Like he was getting away from our defenders so easily.
So what are your thoughts? We finally see Boswell on the pitch.
God, wish he had scored.
aside from his near miss or near make, whatever.
I mean, he was only on for what, 10 minutes?
He looked every bit as shaky as
he definitely
I thought he would.
I think that's a little bit of that's to be expected, right?
He didn't look like.
I mean, he didn't
that
look
much of a professional player. It was almost, maybe it was because his shirt was too big, but he kind of reminded me of like a fan had been awarded some minutes on the game.
It was like that Disney show, The Jersey, whenever they would put on that old football jersey and they would be transported to just play first-person sports.
Wow, Dean says he hopes to never see Boswell again.
Strong
words.
I hope so too. That means all our team are healthy and not suspended.
I agree with that. But I didn't see that much of bad play out of it. I think a lot of that was just nerves. He didn't, and even then, it wasn't as noticeable as like Tim Backus getting in the game.
Your favorite player?
But dude, none of those goals.
His name.
Those goals were not Tim Backus's fault, though.
I don't.
Can we not go there?
It's not about whose fault it was.
God.
All I'm commenting on is his shakiness and how uneasy he looked on the field. Like Boswell.
He was like totally.
Yeah, he just deer in the fucking headlights, man. Like Boswell didn't seem like that. At least he seemed competent.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because with that call it back five if you want to consider the keeper in there. You want to not remember what they did during a game. Like that'd be the perfect game, is if you can completely not remember anything that they did. But
Brittany S makes a good point, which was what I was going to ask you guys. Do you guys know if Parkhurst is hurt?
I believe he's not. So
no, from what I understand, he was fine. He said he was fine after the game.
Okay.
And the only reason Boswell played is because we don't have Garza, because Walks could have shifted in. And
which
and
are we
Garza
thinking that? Do we think that Garza will be back for this?
Parkhurst was hurt in the game, so they subbed him for Boswell.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. The only reason Boswell even saw the field was because we don't have the reinforcements right now on defense.
So we get Garza back for the second game against NYCFC, right?
I don't know. I mean, I saw somebody. I'm having there's too much stuff going on in the live chat.
I know. I can't even keep up with it.
For me to
tonight.
keep
You
up
guys
with,
are-
but I know somebody was asking about any word on Garza. From last I heard, there was still nothing. So
We've gone from Gaza. I saw the Silverbacks in there.
When are we going to start Vasquez?
He's injured.
yeah,
Why isn't he starting?
Because he's injured, Kevin. Because you just can't hack him, man.
He's still suspended from that red card. Is the answer.
how long do we have to wait? How long do we have to wait? Yeah. How long do we have to wait?
Because his suspension
Carlton?
doesn't happen until he gets healthy again.
How much of a
Thank
layoff
you, Andy
does
Watkins.
how
Yeah.
much of a layoff does Andrew Carlton have to have before whenever he comes back from the U17 World Cup?
I don't think you put him in the playoffs.
Again, congratulations, England's U17 boys.
About to lose, right?
To
who though?
Spain.
With Ryan Brewster up front, Liverpool's future, scoring a hat trick after hat trick.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Of course.
yeah.
Number
Yeah.
one fan.
Yeah.
Right here.
Number one,
Go England!
number one,
Brewster!
Boo.
Brewster. No. So
Stop.
Guzan, we wouldn't have affected. Going back to the booing, just a second.
Oh my god.
We wouldn't have affected Guzan. He would
because
have.
it's goose.
Yeah.
And no one. All right, so I guess we still got to talk about Columbus game. Another point that got brought up on Twitter this week was, what do we think? So Columbus game opened up to 70,000 or 70, whatever the max is. We don't even know what the max attendance is, do we?
Max capacity. I can look it up real quick.
Last week on Sunday, wasn't it 72
71.
something?
It was 71.8, but we don't know what the max actually is. So they're opening it up to full capacity, quote unquote, for the Columbus game, which I'm sure will break the record a third time, which will be crazy.
Yeah.
The question we got was, do we expect this attendance to continue next season? And my response is, with a home game, even if it's a loss tomorrow and a playoff berth in your first season, I fully expect those ticket sales to continue.
I think
next year.
I think that hype needs to continue in the off season.
And I think the playoffs guarantee that.
So I guess we don't know the actual capacity because for football it says actually the stadium is expandable to 83,000 seats or 83,000 in capacity, but for football it's restricted to 71,000, which we're already breaking with. It says soccer on Wikipedia says expandable to at least 71,874 because that's what we ended up fielding.
That's great.
But I honestly think that
I mean, what was it? 96% renewal rate for season ticket holders?
was it really that
Something
high?
crazy.
I
like
don't. I
that.
know it's something super high.
That's cool.
Did the upper level look full? They didn't really show the upper level on TV.
It didn't look full, to answer your question, but it didn't look sparse either. Does that
Right.
make sense? Like it
Mhm.
was. I mean, you would see big cluster. You'd see a few like sort of peppered in. It's hard to tell because all the seats are red.
You're talking about a way, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's probably part of the strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think to be honest, I wasn't looking for them, but I didn't have a single Toronto fan stand out to me.
That said, though, even though they're empty, I mean, it's a fucking stadium. It's like not everybody's going to be in their seats the whole game anyway. So it's hard to judge that stuff because I was
Yeah.
also I'm
There's
guilty
so
of
many
that too.
things to-
I'll get up and walk around at half, and then I won't get back until a little later. And I know a lot of people will just go sit at the little like Terrapin bar and watch the game from the bar right there because you can see down from like the 50-yard line essentially, which is a decent view from those bars around the actual stadium. So I know a lot of people that did stuff like that. So I can't really. I mean, it did look sparse, but I can't say it's because those people weren't there
Still,
or because they just
The
weren't.
noise in that place, even through the TV, was deafening.
It was. There were times where the announcer was saying things that I had no clue what he was saying.
It was fantastic though.
That was great.
It was fantastic. I think in terms of the attendance keeping up next year, I think so. I think that we've touched upon how endearing it is to people to be, or I don't know if that's the right word to use, but I'll use it anyway, to be part of something from the beginning. Like how important it is to people to get in on the ground floor and be a fan of the team. We talked about it
And
during
having
the
the
tailgate.
right fans. I mean, you're going to have people like us that are like, and that was what I was telling Katie. I mean, we had some friends out of town. Thank you, Brian Diefenbach and Chris Robb for helping me out this past weekend and tracking down some tickets. I had some,
We have a great community.
yeah, we had some, Katie had some friends that were unexpectedly in from out of town, was trying to wrangle up some tickets to get them to go to the game. And that I think has been one of my favorite parts about this season, reflecting back, is being able to share the first Atlanta United game for people throughout the season. You know, like the first game that you went to was with my tickets. And so like I wasn't there. It's not like it took you or anything like that, but that was cool. And then actually taking Katie to her first game, taking Leo, Dan's nephew or Tim's nephew, taking these people to games throughout the season and seeing them experience it for the first time. I think that only continues next season because it's not like everybody's gone to a game and there's so much excitement and you get the right fan base on board that wants to keep spreading that. I think that only perpetuates ticket sales and everything else that's related to it.
Absolutely. And I think if Almiron stays, I'm really excited to see this team. But then if he goes, I'm like, well, who are they going to get to replace him? You know, it's going to be...
His name's Andrew Carlton. I'm dead serious. He'll
to
be
replace
18.
Almiron?
Yes. He showed during that U17 World Cup. He is fine playing that number 10 role.
I haven't seen...
But don't you think that...
I just haven't seen enough of his footwork or anything.
Under 17s and MLS is a step up.
That's my hesitancy too. I don't know.
Well, have you guys watched Tyler Adams play? He absolutely cut us up. New York Red Bulls midfielder.
Right, but he was a right back on the wing, which is a little easier to play than, I mean, of course it's easier. But he
was still 1-2ing the ball, wall passing from the right side.
Right, but if you're placing Almiron, you're directing traffic. You're supplying the ball to the striker, which I feel like is, and you've got a 360 view that you really need to be aware of. Whereas if you're playing on the wing, you're dealing with like 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
plus they're different people. But I get you. I like your point, Tim.
Red Bulls are up 3-0, by the way.
Yeah, that game's over. It's going to be Atlanta and Red Bulls in the...
No, but what I'm saying...
Yeah, NYCFC, sorry.
But you're right, Dan. I think that Carlton, to be able to have success as a number 10, even if it's next year or the year after, we're going to it's incumbent on us re-signing Carmona and also having somebody Lorenowitz. And then eventually you replace Carmona with Chris Goslin.
Who assisted the Red Bull second goal?
Tyler Adams.
Yeah.
He's. I've made this point on Twitter. He is the second best U.S. men's national team player, and he's never been capped. Like he is that good, and he's 17 still. I think he is. It would be an absolute and utter shame unless Red Bulls are still in the playoffs. Let's hope not. If he doesn't get a call up for. I already forgot the interim coach's name, but if Tyler Adams doesn't get a call up in November against Portugal and New York Red Bulls are out of the playoffs, I think it's an utter shame because that kid is amazing. I mean, we're talking about, not to get off on that tangent again, but I'm so excited to see Tyler Adams, Andrew Carlton, Chris Goslin, and Weston McKennie in the center of the pitch for the U.S. men's national team.
And Pulisic.
No, I want him a little further. I want him to play.
Oh, no, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's so many good players that Bruce Arena just did not see. No, Tyler Adams turned 18 this year. Sorry.
Tim, tear the whole system down. Tear the whole system down.
Tear it down. So we do have a game coming up on Thursday.
Right.
We're
tomorrow.
Yeah. It is tomorrow.
I know. So
7:00 kick or 7:00 scheduled start time, which is silly because Chicago on a Wednesday. What's different between Wednesday and Thursday or Wednesday and Thursday? We don't have. They get an extra half-hour buffer than we do.
Only thing I can think of is Thursday Night Football, and if there's some scheduling thing with that.
But I understand from
for broadcasters and stuff like that.
Well. No, I understand that, but
that's the only logic I can come up with. They don't share networks. It doesn't make any sense.
They don't share networks. The MLS or the MLS.
Well, it's aired on ESPN too, which is ABC, which isn't Thursday Night Football.
Thursday Night Football is on CBS.
Okay, well then that's
CBS and NFL Network.
Well, even though they don't share a network, it may be Thursday Night Football. Unfortunately, is probably going to get a bigger draw to begin with by edging them out in time. Getting on something a little earlier, you at least pull in.
No, I get it. Yeah, but the problem with that is they're naive to think that people that are watching Thursday Night Football are people that they can pull over to watch MLS anyway. So,
but somebody that's flipping through the channels waiting for it may stumble across it, especially in the Atlanta market.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, if they're in the Atlanta market, they're watching Atlanta United over the Falcons at this point anyway.
Yeah. So it's in vogue.
I have been.
How do I do this?
Was that 3 losses in a row at this point?
I'm too old. Is this the way not the A-Town? Is this hashtag?
Hashtag, yeah.
Hashtag.
I don't know. You might be doing a sexual gang thing.
Hashtag save the crew.
Yeah.
Is that that's in vogue right now?
Yeah. Beat the crew, save the crew, whatever.
We did have, I think it was Dean asked, do you guys think that Columbus is going to end up staying?
No. I think that decision's already been made.
Well, it's not final yet, is it?
It isn't, but pre-court already has.
Neither was Atlanta getting the All-Star game next year until the press conference, but everybody knew it was happening. I think the same thing with Columbus. I think it's a done deal.
Well, it's. I think there are conspiracy theories abound about about MLS chemtrails.
This is intergalactic vampires. They're sucking the blood out of our children.
These tablets only get traces that come in from comets, from international astrological comets and blueberries.
They're intergalactic vampires. Sucking our kids dry of these blood and their souls.
Just anyway. No, but I think there are conspiracy theories about MLS having a hand in this, helping push this.
Maybe it is all a ruse by Precourt to help lift the crew in the playoffs.
Well, did you see the quote from what's his face from Columbus?
Will Trapp.
Yeah, saying that the league doesn't want Columbus to win the game, and like what's motivating them. And he's going, the league doesn't want us there. They don't want us to beat Atlanta. That's motivation in and of itself, or something like that. To that point, that basically nobody, including the league, wants Columbus to win that game. So they're going to have a fight in them. I think having Almiron back lends itself to a lot of versatility up top. I think it's an Atlanta win. And I'm expecting an Atlanta win, which probably means that it's going to be a loss. And I'm still going to say...
I know. This is the one game... Sorry, Kevin.
I think... I'm going to say...
Did you just puke?
What? I'm going to say 2-1 in overtime.
I don't want to talk score predictions yet.
I'm going to say 2-1 in overtime.
I want to talk about
1-1 draw.
This is not
Atlanta
the team. This is not the team you want to be playing in the first round right now. I think they're unbeaten in their last 11, if I'm not mistaken.
But have you looked at who they've played in their hot stretch? DC,
we are unbeaten.
Orlando. They're not playing much that would be fighting for anything in that last 5 games that I was seeing.
In their last 11 games, they've lost 1. In our last 11 games, we've lost 1.
Right. And I would argue that Atlanta is playing a higher caliber. Oh, I say that except for that New England, Minnesota stretch.
You can just say they've been unbeaten in their last 10, Dan, because if you're counting that loss, that's the beginning of the 11 games.
So,
right.
But who are the last 5?
But now
there's DC,
that messes up
Orlando.
My point,
they drew Vancouver, who's a fantastic team who we could not touch. They beat New York Red Bulls, who are having a field day against Chicago, who's the number 3 seed now.
I think that
they beat
Atlanta's
DC. They shut DC out. They shut Orlando out in Orlando, which is Orlando's not a great team.
I think
obviously.
DC and aside from DC's record against Atlanta, but I wiped both of those.
They drew New York City I believe in Citi Field.
Well, I would compare a draw against Toronto. I would put a draw against Toronto over a draw against Vancouver at this point, considering the situation. I think the Red Bulls game, even though they won, Atlanta's a couple of bounces away from winning that game as well. I don't necessarily know that they're world beaters at this point.
But what I'm saying is I think they're in better – I would say they're arguably in better form than Toronto is right now.
Who's playing for more?
Who's playing for more? I think they are.
You think?
I think so. I think they're going to come out and they feel like they have a city riding on their backs, that they're carrying a city.
I think if this game is in Columbus, I tend to agree with you, but because it's in Atlanta, I think that's the determining factor in this game. Because with it being Atlanta's first season, Almiron's back. He's looking to make an impression. Joseph's hungry for it. I just think this entire game lends itself to and Atlanta win, in my opinion. And while I don't discredit Columbus's motivation, I just think that because it's in Atlanta, that tends to tip the scales a little bit more in Atlanta's favor.
This is the biggest game in our history.
Yeah. Wait, what history?
Sorry, this is the biggest game in our expansion year. But it's the biggest game we're ever going to be played for. And if you can't get up for that, I mean, you can't get up for anything.
Yeah, you need
amount of Viagra is going to help.
I was going to say you need some sort of sports Viagra.
Yeah.
I'm sick. Fuck off, Dean. I'm sick of all these. Oh, it's probably the last time we saw Garza on the pitch. This could easily be the last time we see Miggy on Atlanta pitch. Yeah, it could be the last time we see anybody. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow?
So we do have some crossover. So we played Dallas at home. They played Dallas at home, and we were the better team over Columbus.
Okay,
when they played Dallas,
we can't. It's one thing to look at form, but it's another thing. I don't buy into.
Boo.
I don't buy into scoreboard math like that. Say that.
No, it's not. So here, let me explain. So this is the only stats I could get. So I went to WhoScored.com.
Syracuse basically beat Alabama by beating Clemson.
Through each of the last 11 games for Atlanta and Columbus and got their overall team rating. So to determine the form of those. So, and then I found the difference of those and then added it all up. So in the past 11 games, we've had a difference in form rating of 6.65, whereas Columbus have a difference in form rating of 2.91. So if you kind of put those together, we have a 70% chance of winning this game over Columbus's 30%.
So many stats.
No, it's obvious that home field advantage is going to play a factor. I mean, if you look at their record away, they're 4-9-4 away, so they haven't had a great go of it. But
I also don't want to poke fate. But what's the record for home teams in knockout round of playoffs? Isn't it like
it's like some
13-2 or something?
It's some
like
sort
that?
of like 90% advance rate or something.
I mean, I'm optimistic. It's weird because I don't want to cash my ticket for saying that Atlanta is going to win for sure. But I just say the matchup. Columbus is hot. They're playing for something, which definitely makes the game interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the odds are slightly more in Atlanta's favor.
I was more afraid of playing Red Bulls than Columbus in this round.
I would tend to agree with that.
And look, the only thing we can go on is like past games and past experiences. And Atlanta, in my view, should win this game.
I agree. But at the same time,
anything can happen.
If you go back and you think about those games against Columbus, I don't know that they were as decisive as the scorelines would indicate. Especially at Bobby Dodd, you had Federico Higuain missing a couple chances. I want to say that you had Mira missing some chances too.
But we also had Alec Can whenever we played those games.
Ooh, good point, Kevin.
Yeah, but
I mean, even if he misses, okay, so to that point, he misses some chances.
I get what you're saying,
you also have a better keeper in there to make plays.
I don't want this to be revisionist history about Alec Can that he wasn't a good keeper.
No, he absolutely. I mean, we were all.
Our defense has clicked together a lot more now.
It's true.
It absolutely has.
And it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the season for a long time, and why Parkhurst isn't a good captain is, at least in my eyes, is that we haven't had that vocal leadership until Brad Guzan came in and the way that he yells at those players. But at the same time,
you're right. I don't want to do the same thing. I think we were all here saying Alec Can deserves to start, and it was just a circumstance that shook out. I almost want to say conspiracy theory there because it was just too convenient.
To Dean's point, we did play the 3-1 game in Bobby Dodd without Joseph Martinez.
True. In the rain.
Yes, and I want to say we actually played up in Columbus. Did we play in Columbus without Martinez, or was that one of his first games back? I think he'd actually scored. He and Villalba, I think, had a goal. So Columbus, though, I mean, 19 goals for, 10 against in the past 10 games. I don't think it's anything to sneeze at, regardless of the competition, just due to the amount of parity that's in the MLS. Yeah, I keep saying the MLS, and I keep saying the MLS, but yeah, that's right. And Andy Watkins said Mears played in the previous games too, and Mears should have never played anything.
Yeah, all of these things. So that's the tough thing too, is because just like doing the the winning math and saying, okay, well, this team beat that team. This team should beat this team. Same thing that we've talked about with the Minnesota game. It's a completely different team that we're playing now than we did then because we played Columbus back in July.
Yeah, that's correct.
So
the last game we played,
Oh yeah, and it's playoffs. It's totally different.
no, it's absolutely
But
different.
all you can do in terms of like stats and math is go back on,
You're right.
on
I
history.
I think the matchup lends itself to. Let's just get to it. Score predictions. What do you guys think in the live chat? Score predictions for tomorrow. Tim, why don't you start us off?
LGP's back, correct?
Yes,
Parkhurst
that's
is
the
back.
other thing. I mean, you've got
McCann is in the
LGP,
lineup.
Almiron. You've got a back four. I'm assuming you got Walks over on right side. I'm thinking we'll probably end up with Ambrose on left. What do you guys think? You think is McCann healthy now?
McCann,
He played.
McCann,
I'm so
yeah.
stupid. Sorry.
Yep.
I put McCann over on left for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
There's no doubt about
four
that.
back. Same. I mean, this is
Lorenowitz,
Carmona, Lorenowitz, Miggy.
Assad, Miggy, Villalba, Martinez.
This is the lineup we've had for the past 4 or 5 weeks, aside from the game against Toronto, and it's the one that had Brad Guzan with that scoreless streak. I think it's time for him to start that again. I say 2-0 Atlanta.
I like it.
I say Guzan shuts him out.
Great.
Damn,
Dan.
people in the chat. Do you see this?
I do.
Well, I mean, this game is going to lend itself to goal scoring. I mean, you think
it
about
does. I
the
definitely think it does.
the attacking prowess of these teams. When you think about Martinez, Villalba, Assad, Almiron, and then you look over on the other side, you have Ola Kamara, you have Justin Miram, you have Federico Higuain. Even in defense, I mean, I think Josh Williams scored. He's not the greatest center back, but I think he even scored 3 goals this season.
Well, we dominated. Was it Mensa?
Yes,
We dominated him.
he and that's what I was going to say.
He's got
That's
something
what
to
I was
prove.
saying. This game is definitely ripe for the picking because those 2 center backs aren't necessarily the best in defense.
Mhm.
I don't know. They're definitely their strength is surely up front. Even though they only gave up 49 goals this season, which isn't terrible, we gave up 40. It's 9 more goals.
Holy crap. New York Red Bulls up by 4. Dan, score prediction.
I'm going to go 3-1 Atlanta
Wow.
because I am a homer and I'm putting everything behind Atlanta in this game.
Who
Because
scores for both of you?
I definitely think Villalba gets one because he scored 3 goals against Columbus so far. Martinez.
Hashtag boo the crew.
Wow. Get on board with that. There are opponents, bro.
Just to go back to that though.
No.
No, not the
Boo.
not the booing.
Oh.
To go back to Columbus Crew, maybe moving to Austin. Austin, I don't think is the right city, but I'm not necessarily so sure that a team that has a capacity of a 20,000 seat stadium that doesn't sell it out necessarily. I don't necessarily blame the league for maybe looking at different options for that when they see places like Orlando and Atlanta and Seattle and Portland and all that selling out, or at least filling out bigger stadiums than that. I understand the history of the Crew, and it's great. But anyway, 2-0. I would say Almiron scores 1, and I think Joseph gets 1. I don't think Villalba scores, but
Those are my 2 scores.
look at that
too.
beautiful, beautiful assist to Joseph.
I'm thinking
Miggy?
2-1 in overtime.
Oh, I don't want to have to go to overtime.
I think we're going to see a gut wrencher in overtime. Atlanta.
You're so American, bro. It's extra time.
God, don't you know anything about soccer?
No, he obviously.
Apparently not. I don't know when to boo and when to cheer.
And when to knock your mic down and when not to knock your mic down. For that.
Touchdown!
Nose.
Okay. Yeah.
On
So-
that note, so score predictions in the live chat. Dean 3-1, Seth Carter 4-1, Kendrick Brock 4-1 Atlanta, Brittany S 3-1 Atlanta, Andy 2-0 the good guys, Richard Gordon 3-1.
Atlanta.
Everybody's saying Atlanta. Who's gonna say not Atlanta? Seth Carter 4-1 Atlanta. Brittany S makes a good point. Dang, I'm worried about Toronto against New York Red Bulls. 7CC Dan 3-2 Atlanta. I like that. I like the 3-2. I would almost like to see a 3-2.
I don't want 3-2. No, I want 3-1 or 3-0.
I almost
or
want
4-0.
I want to see
5-0.
Atlanta get that lead and then secure it to put it away to remedy
I
my
don't-
concerns about being in the playoff scenario that I got on my rant and tangent about 2 weeks ago. That you're in a playoff win or go home scenario. You get the lead and you have to play defense to bring it home. I like that. Hat trick Martinez. Brittany S says.
I want all comfy, boring wins all the way through to the final. That's what I want. I want comfortable 5-6-0 Atlanta wins. That would suit me just fine.
So quick reminder, go check out the Soccer in the Streets Black Tie pub crawl that's happening this weekend. That's October 28th, 11:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Yeesh. $25 gets you to tour the Beltline and 5 stops. That's at 2 Urban Licks, Pure Taqueria, Hampton and Hudson Parish, and Hop City and Krog Street Market. And then the Black Tie Soccer Tournament is Sunday, October 29th at the 5 Points MARTA station from 1 to 4. Check out the links in the show notes.
Public service announcement. Andy Watkins says, vote Tito Goal of the Year nomination currently.
Oh, wow.
Oh, against Orlando?
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed his Montreal goal more than I enjoyed the Orlando goal. I just thought the fact that he had no run up. He had no build up and he megged the guy and just booted it. Like it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
Speaking of beautiful, you guys are beautiful. Thanks for all the love on iTunes. You guys made our week a hell of a lot better.
New subscribers on YouTube.
I know.
And tell a friend.
Yeah, seriously.
And have their friends tell their friends.
If we saw you out at the Terminus Legion tailgate, thanks for coming and seeing us. Be sure to keep those reviews and ratings coming in if you want to hear them read on the show. Not only are we the #1 Atlanta United podcast on iTunes, now we have the most reviews.
Wow.
Just saying.
Who would have thought?
I don't know, just saying.
When this is just a twinkle
I don't
in your
know
eye.
I don't know who's counting. You find all of us on Twitter.
There was our analytics team that texted us during the day today.
I had to get stats. That was my stat for the 3-star rating, was to get some numbers to bring to the table today. So
Nice.
you find all of us on Twitter. Tim, where can they find you at?
You can find me at Tim Herb.
Dan, where can they find you?
You can find me at DMJMS.
Find me as well at The Architect. That's at _ARC, the #1 TECT.
One more score prediction. Don't want to leave you guys out. Alex Johnson says 3-1. He also said I have a fantastic Alex Jones impression, and I appreciate that. That just made my night.
Find us collectively at Home Before Dark. That's before spelled B and the #4. We'll be out in them streets, as Surveillance LaFleur likes to say, tomorrow at the game with stickers in hand. If you find us, or if you're out there, be sure to tweet at us and we'll try to hook up with you while we're out there at the bins. And we've been passing those out. The latest batch, we made out all the letters last week, and I completely forgot to mail them out.
Yeah, I saw those.
Those will be going out. Sorry to everybody. Kirby specifically will hook you up tomorrow in person.
He's been beating my ass. He and Dean have been beating my ass in FIFA. I am 2-4 against them collectively. But that said, if you guys, we have I think 5 people in the Home Before Dark Pro team right now. If you guys want to get on that, message me at Gartface on Xbox Live and get in on the team.
Yeah. So love the hell out of you guys. Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you in the semifinals after a win tomorrow night against Columbus Crew.
Not against Toronto, and I may be at the game in NYCFC if we win tomorrow night.
Nice. As always, be home before dark.
Come on!
What was